the has price and reimbursement drug for HTA policies in France, right? So now you will see the difference. What I am trying to mention here, the all the other countries are relatively, if you know less, it will work. But the questions in the interviews come, and the projects also, they will like to at least you to have a good understanding of how has functions and how nice functions. So they have both the countries, UK and France, have transparency committees. These are the committees. There they are called the appraisal committees. Here they are called the transparency committees, or TCs. You will see that it is very clearly mentioned. They want a first point that you have to understand is key. They are talking about the benefit risk assessment. So the benefit risk assessment is something critical that is shown. So what are the benefits and what are the risks? So the Committee of Medicine Products for Human Use, they are the one who do the decision making, and ASNM is the body that is involved. So the European Commission or ASNM. So once they get the marketing authorization, then the HAS comes into picture. The opinion from HAS is important, and they do the health technology assessment, that is HTA. Now, when they talk about the HTAs, they, as I have mentioned in my deck, that you have to show the clinical effectiveness of the drug and you have to show the cost of the drug. And then they further discuss what are the price of the drug, and based on the price, whether or not it will be part of the list or there will be some co-payment schemes that will be happening. And post these decisions, the product is launched, and then the decision of okay, what kind of advertisement should be done, what are the assessments that have been completed, what are the risk management plans, all these, like if there are any other decisions that has to be made, again ASNM, that is the body from the top, comes in picture. Otherwise, after the approval, the price, the drug can be sold. Now when we talk about this, we go in the reimbursement part. As I was mentioning earlier, that you have to just make sure that all drugs that are approved by HAS have to be, it should be in the list of the hospital pharmacies and the community pharmacists. So to go into the positive list means, okay, these drugs are approved, you have to go through the assessment process. And based on the opinion from the HAS, the price should be regulated. There is a possibility that the price can be slightly different for maybe hospital usage and community pharmacy usage. So based on the HAS opinion, all these decisions are made, and the economic committee of the product, that is CEPSF. And after this price regulation is done and the decision is done, then the drug becomes accessible. Now, when the reassessment happens, reassessment of everything happens around after every 5 years of the committee. So every 5 years, the drug has to go back. If you go on the top, you will be seeing that periodic reassessment part is there, which goes again, the HTA assessment happens after 5 years to see if they have to reduce the price or increase the price and all those discussions. And if there are other drugs in the market, if there is new research that has been done, all that takes place. And once the reassessment is done, then there are new opinions or amendments in the decision from HAS that comes in the picture. Now, it can be, what is multiple technology assessment of the drug and a single technology assessment of the drug? If any of you guys can help me with that.
I mean, I'm not sure on this one, but I mean, same indication or okay. I mean, I think it's evaluating all the analogs for a particular indication, right? And or like fall within the same class. I'm not really sure.
Preeti, you would like to give it a try?
I'm not sure.
So basically, I was just trying to create suspense. So Satvik, that's correct. So when you are trying to see for a specific indication, There can be more than one drug. Like for oncology treatments, there is so many different classifications. So going through all the drugs and seeing where this one new technology fits in, that is multiple technology assessment of drugs with the same indication or within the same pharmaceutical class. So what they
Okay,
check is the,
one
yes,
so
Prithvi?
technology actually refers to some indication or condition here
Uh,
in this context.
so technology is nothing else but the drug itself. So it can be medical device, it can be a medicine, it can be gene therapy. So whatever is used, let's say a pacemaker is also a technology that is used to treat the patient. A drug also is some like for heart, somebody is giving you some drug, like and then there is pacemakers. So these are all different kind of anything that is used to treat the patient basically will be considered as a technology. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So technology assessment is basically treatment assessment or assessing that particular gene therapy or that particular monoclonal antibodies. There are so many new kinds of, now it's not just the drugs, not just the oral drugs, but there are also some devices or some radiation therapy. All these are falling under the umbrella of technology, health technologies. Technologies that is used to treat are health technologies. So one let's say for one particular disease area, there are different technologies. It can be radiation therapy, like for cancer, there is radiation therapies is used to reduce the tumor size. Then there are oral oncology drugs as well. Then there is gene therapies. Then there are monoclonal antibodies. Then there are CAR T therapies. All these therapies fall under the umbrella of oncology treatment. So the indication will be cancer treatment. That's the indication. And the pharmaceutical class. Now again, CAR T therapies is one class, then monoclonal antibodies is another class. Then radiation therapy is another class. So these are the different classes. Am I making sense?
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah. So it can happen. Sometimes what happens is that, let's say for the same indication, different pharmaceutical category drugs are used. Sometimes what happens similar. So neck to neck competition happens when two CAR T therapies are working. But sometimes you will see when you are doing the project, there are CAR T therapies that are compared with the monoclonal antibodies. What is the rationale? The rationale is the tumor size. The question is the same, or the indication, like reduction of breast tumors or reduction of malignancy or reducing of the adverse reactions. So the indication, if it is same, and two different classes can are also assessed, that there are also cases, but comparing apples to apples are considered as more like, if you are comparing CAR T to CAR T, you will have more edge. But if there is, let's say you are a novel drug delivery system and you are bringing a whole new technology, some new gene therapy you have evolved, then you don't have any other comparators. In that case, based on the indication, what are the different technologies that are used, that is what is used for comparison.
Right.
So now when we are doing these assessments, it should be on specific request for health authorities. Efficacy of the therapeutic strategy is the prime thing. It can be hypertension and it can be other things. So here the example is hypertension. I have taken the example of oncology because oncology is like a hotcake selling out there. So then the third, now what they are doing here, they are comparing is with third generation oral contraceptives. So they are trying to, there are different kind of things. So what I was mentioning was especially related to oncology drugs, and it is, the process is similar, just that the indication changes and the technology changes. Now what is considered, it's very clearly mentioned here, healthcare need. So Satvik, tell me, what is healthcare need? What do you understand with healthcare need?
So, I mean, should not be like I'm reading it off. So, I mean, let me not look at screen. A healthcare need is basically understanding like how the disease is affecting the population in general,
Mhm,
and how much percent and how their quality of life is affected, and
mhm,
what are the current drugs doing to them, how much the current drugs have really had an effect on their quality of life, and what has not really improved, and what you can actually bring in, and what are
That's
the current side effects. Yeah.
exactly. That's the exact thing. So basically, understanding the disease burden, understanding the gaps, understanding what is already in the market and what is missing. So all that discussions are part of the healthcare need. Where exactly you can add value, understanding that will have an edge. Let's say there is already the research is a ever growing green forest, I will say. So there are already something or the other will be there in the market, but there is something or the other that is gap is there, because most of these are therapies that are used to manage the disease but not cure the disease. So management is always, you can always improve there, but if you're curing it, that's out of the box only, you are just sorted. So most of the treatments out there are management, like okay, they manage the tumor size, they reduce, and sometimes it's untraceable, so you call it as a cure, or you are managing the blood pressure, or you are managing the overall cholesterol levels. But at one point of time, let's say if you're using a stent therapy for cardiac treatment, it means you're almost treating them. Treating them doesn't mean that the person doesn't have any cardiac ailments. It means that they are out of danger, because the stent is put in, so they will not die of heart attack, but they will still be taking aspirin, and they will still be coming back to hospital for 6 months for the regular checkup. It doesn't mean that the heart has become all healthy and they can start doing some running and all. That doesn't happen. But it's a management therapy that happens, and wherever there is management, there are better ways of managing. So understanding the need. Now, relative efficacy, I've emphasized it enough, and I don't think it needs further explanation. It is basically what is in the market, what is already there, and what extra are you offering. That's it. That's relative efficacy, comparison of efficacy to other available therapeutics, can be therapeutics, devices, whatsoever. Now effectiveness is nothing but giving how is your product having an edge over the other. That's it. So these are the three things that are considered by HAS, and then it helps you to take the decision. So when you are really showcasing it, you are able to give an answer to the you are basically answering these questions, and then you get a HAS approval. Now when we talk about how do we do this, how are we able to give the explanation of healthcare needs, relative efficacy and effectiveness, how do we do that? So we do that by efficacy, sharing the trials, information, meta-analysis, etc. Talking about the tolerance, what are the tolerance? When I talk about it is basically pharmacovigilance points is nothing else but really giving the side effects or the ill points or nausea, vomiting, all this, or the drug is having any long-term issues, or it is solving some long-term issues which is there in the comparators. Then just comparing it with the comparators, and then the therapeutic strategy, the situation of the drug within the strategy of the treatment. So there is first line therapy, second line therapy, third line therapy. First you have to use metformin. Let's say for diabetes, first you have to use metformin, and then the fourth line of therapy is insulin. So where should exactly the drug be placed? That's the therapeutic strategy. Because it is, again, if you can ask that, okay, everybody wants to be in the first line therapy, but first line therapy are generally the drugs which are the most accepted by the KOLs, and they are able to really give you the impact. It's cheap, it is more, it has been used over decades, and it is readily available. So they go in the first line. Again, if the drug is a novel drug and there is like myasthenia gravis doesn't have a cure, somebody comes out with a cure, or dementia doesn't have a cure, somebody comes out with a cure, that will automatically become the first line of therapy. That is the therapeutic strategy, where do your treatment sits in the therapeutic strategy tree of the system. And then as per the information that has been submitted, you can say, okay, these are the okay, this is here I want to be, And then the negotiation happens as well. They will say, oh, I think at least I should be a second line of therapy. And they say, no, 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 you are having a very high price, so we will put you as a third line in the specific indication, and then we will see something of that sort. And then target population. So even the target population is very critical to understand, because let's say for breast cancer also, you can say for my drug is good in breast cancer, but then the target population, you will say like the tumor size. So if the tumor size is there, malignancy is there, BRCA1, BRCA2 is there, indicators or receptors. So there is so many subcategories in one disease area also. If you do research, you will be amazed to see that the indications are so specific. If there is a drug, if there is a patient who is having recurrent cancer, is having this much tumor size, is showing the malignancy level 1, 2, whatever, and is having receptor 1 active or receptor 2 active, in these kind of situations, this drug will be reimbursed, otherwise it won't be. So all that kind of target population. So population mapping is also part of the strategy creation. And then ultimately it all boils down to the interest of public health. Like, okay, fine, this is the disease burden. If you don't give it, you are making certain population, I mean, unethical. It is unethical to not give a treatment to a patient in need when there is a treatment out there. So all this, which I have discussed, I have spoken a debate for last 5 minutes, is part of answering the question of healthcare need, proving the relative efficacy, and giving the effectiveness with respect to target population and the healthcare system. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So anytime you are doing projects, these will be the pillars that you have to really consider. Always you will see efficacy come in picture. Always you will see analog assessment or comparators come in picture. You will see gap assessment happening. Now the process of doing this is pretty simple, just going and doing the secondary researches. Now I come about the single technology. Here we were talking about the multiple technology assessment. I've already mentioned what is multiple technology. Now single technology assessment comes in picture. When it is something that happens when the drug is it is used for a rare disease, and there are no comparators in that particular domain, let's say a new CAR-T therapy, and when there was no CAR-T therapy at all, then the assessment of clinical effectiveness, review of the data, and then based on the information that has been provided from the literatures, you will see you will show the data, and then with the data you will be able to get the positives and the negatives come in picture, and then you are able to get the assessment. Here, as there are no other drugs available or no other technologies available, the reference points will be the literatures and the clinical trials that has been conducted. So the question can be asked, how can you do health technology assessment in HAS when the critical point is they compare it with the comparators or analogs for the ratings? Then you will mention we go through the single technology assessment process, and for the single technology assessment process, the efficacy of the drug is proven through the different kind of research that has been done for the clinical trials. Any questions, Satvik?
No, I'm good there. I was just thinking loud maybe. So when we talk on single technology assessment, so obviously for any disease we say like there's no cure, nothing, right? But there would be something that is going on, right? So that is what we take into account here, right? That's something. Like, for example, if there is let's say there's some form of a rare bone disorder, so it doesn't have a drug. So in that case, you bring something novel to market. So previously they would have done something to treat it, like they would have probably given those patients like calcium supplements or like phosphate supplements, whatever. So that is what we would consider, right, in this kind of scenario.
Exactly.
Okay. Right.
All right. So now moving down is, then as you remember that I was mentioning that NICE was taking around 250 days. Here you will see that the decision can come out quicker. Around 90 days should be sufficient. If there is no hiccups, then you can get an approval or a has opinion. So then